This one is closed too. Guys, we're literally living in uncertain times right now where businesses across the world are closing, and I just came to the Strip. This is my hometown, Las Vegas, and I've never seen it like this. I've never seen the casinos completely shut down, these businesses not accepting customers. The last few weeks have been completely crazy, and it kind of forced me to rethink or to think of ways to be able to help a community of entrepreneurs out there who may be living in these uncertain times as well. Perhaps you already have some employees, or you just recently launched your brand and you're finally paying yourself. So in this video, I really want to share some resources that you can use to raise funding for your business during the recession. Now, it's important to note, guys, that it is uncertain times and no one has a crystal ball to be able to say when this will finally recede. As entrepreneurs, it's really our goal to innovate and change the way that businesses run after we get out of this. Because the reality is that there's going to be millions of businesses that never come back all around the world. It's going to be a lot of services, a lot of iconic brands that will never really make the comeback because of the fact that people aren't going to be buying the same way that they used to. So it creates a golden opportunity for entrepreneurs, but at the same time, it creates a lot of uncertainty in the market. So if you're a new visitor to this channel, I highly encourage that you guys subscribe by hitting down the button right down below. And in this channel, we're essentially going to be sharing ways that entrepreneurs can continue building their brand and business from the ground up, especially during a time like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's jump into it. This amount of paperwork right here was the amount of paperwork I thought I sincerely needed in order to apply to the loans that we're about to discuss. As you can see, it's very heavy intensive. A lot of information was compiled. A lot of details went into actually creating this application that the entire time I thought we actually needed to have in order to submit to these applications, to these processes that I'm about to show you guys. So the big thing about getting funding during this economic downturn right now is that the government laid out two different loans for businesses, small business as well as sole proprietors. So whether you're an LLC, a sole prop, or a partnership, these are applications you'll be able to submit. And essentially, with all the research out there, I did hours of research. I spoke to my accountant so we can compile all the documents. So I'm speaking on this on behalf of somebody that's just recently done it. All the information out there makes it seem like you need to have everything ready to go before you even start that application online, which is what I did, and I delayed myself. So I want to make sure that you guys don't delay yourself and that you immediately apply as soon as you have the basic information down, which is what we're going to be discussing right now. Essentially, the loans break down into two different types of loans that you need to know. The first one is called the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. And that one is the one that essentially the government is giving you in order to keep your employees on and not lay anybody off. The second one is called the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and that's essentially the disaster loan. And that one you can apply directly through the SBA. Now, what's interesting as I was coming up with what I was going to say to you guys today, I actually met with the main SBA director of the entire United States at the beginning of February, before this even made the mainstream news. Now, when we were sitting around the round table, we were discussing the different challenges that small businesses had. It just dawned to me right now that this lady came into place in order to deal with the economic downturn that's about to happen. She was in charge of the Treasury Department from the early 2000s, and she has a big history with dealing with the financial sector, and she was in charge of the Puerto Rico disaster loans and all kinds of disasters in the past. So this lady has the background in order to deal with what's happening, and this was all really going into play back in February. So I say all this to you guys to say that the government is preparing, but they're not that prepared yet to actually start accepting full applications at masses. So what this means is you'll be able to apply with very basic information that I'm going to show you guys right now. So regardless if you have all these documents like I did, I literally spent about a week and a half compiling everything before I submitted, which caused me to delay my application, and now my queue is like somewhere behind the other million or so businesses that applied before me. So if you're watching this, make sure you apply before everybody else does, because I think everybody else is doing the same thing I did, and you don't necessarily have to do that, is what I'm trying to get across. But you do have to know your financials, and you do have to know the reality of your business. And then when you apply, you'll be able to submit the documents that you put together during the time period that you're waiting. Because it's not like you apply and then they approve and you have to submit everything. It's you apply and you wait up to 3 weeks to up to a month before you even hear anything back from anybody. The PPP is a little quicker, but as a disclaimer, I still haven't gotten anything back, any word back from Chase Bank, shout out to Chase. I hope you guys process my PPP application soon. So let's jump into some of the details that's actually required to submit your information. All right, these are the actual documents that you'll need to have ready, the basic information you'll need to have in order to apply to the different types of loans. Now, before I jump into those loans, I guess it's important to note that the PPP application can be 100% fully forgivable. That means that you don't have to pay that loan back. It's essentially a grant for your business. So if you had employees, if you were an employee yourself and maybe you had a couple other people working with you, you could potentially get money in order to keep them on payroll, and you can continue your operations during this economic uncertainty, right? And you don't have to pay it back. So it's essentially a grant. Now the SBA Disaster Loan, that is a loan, and it is capped at a certain amount depending on your operating expenses. But the thing is that you don't figure out what you actually qualify for until they submit and they go through your application and they ask you for all this paperwork. So it's unknown how much you'll actually get from that, but they did recently release something that allows you to get $10,000 up front as soon as you apply. Again, as a disclaimer, I applied, still don't have $10,000 in my account. So it could really vary, guys. The reality is all this stuff seems really good. It'll probably eventually hit the account, and when it does, I'll give you guys an update in the comments. I do have friends and entrepreneurs and other businesses that applied before I did, a few weeks before, and they recently got their word back and they got their applications submitted and processed. So with that being the case, it really depends. I think speed is your friend. Don't wait off any longer, because the longer you wait off, the more people before you, and it's just gonna cause you not to get the funding that you need in order to operate your business. So let's jump into the basic requirements, and then I actually wanna just show you guys an overview of what it takes to submit both applications. Overall, they're super straightforward. They're easy to do. If you have all the documents ready, you're even golden. You're ready for them to contact you, and you can probably approve it a lot quicker. But don't wait off until you have everything to submit it. As you'll see right now, you only need some basic information that you can quickly gather with bank statements that you have available and an accountant that might be able to help you. So let's jump into that. All right, you guys, so the main difference between the PPP and the EIDL is that the PPP can be submitted through your bank accounts, any bank that you do business with, as well as some online lenders, which I will link in the video notes down below, everything that we discussed right now, in case I move on a little too quickly or there's some uncertainty with what I said. You could just click the show notes down below and it'll take you to all the links that we referenced and information that supports what it is I'm saying. So what you'll need for the PPP, I want to break this down between the documents that you're going to need with each. Since the PPP is meant to keep you in business and keep the people that you're working with working instead of going unemployed, the documents that you're going to need for that is your business tax return for 2019 if you have it. Oftentimes people don't, but if you have it, the 2019 is essentially covering a lot of the documents that you're going to need. You're going to need some payroll statements that show that you were paying people, whether you're paying yourself or you're paying somebody else. You're going to need to show that that you had payroll for 2019 and the beginning of 2020. And then notes of how you came up with the amount that you're requesting. So essentially the application, when I show it to you guys, it's going to ask you for 2.5 times the operating expenses, which is essentially your payroll, any payroll tax, health insurance that you provide, your rent and utilities. Once you come up with the total amount that you expend every month, it's going to give you 2.5 times that amount. So say your total operating expenses at a given month was $10,000, then you would potentially qualify for $25,000, and then you would have to come up with notes on how you came up with that, as well as provide some of the financials that support that. Now, if you don't have these documents up here that we just listed, you'll essentially be providing you'll have to provide your bank statements that show the activity of that payroll and of those expenses that you're noting. So if you don't have all the legit stuff, which chances are you don't, you still have to provide some bank statements in order to support those findings. All right, and then the application itself is super easy. All you're gonna need is your business information, such as your LLC, things like that, and then your signature online and submitting it. It's that quick, guys. You can literally get this done pretty easily as long as you have these statements ready. It's important that you have these basic statements ready for this one, because if you don't, then it'll kick you off because it's a time thing whenever you're submitting it through an online service. So make sure you have those documents before you start that application. The application itself is very easy. Now I would say the PPP is a little harder to actually submit than the SBA Disaster Loan for the sake that it does ask you for all those documents up front. The SBA Disaster Loan doesn't ask you for all those documents when you actually submit the application, which makes this one a little more simple and straightforward to actually apply for, because it gives you a few weeks before you have to give them all the information that I showed you guys at the beginning of this video. So essentially, if you start with the SBA Disaster Loan, you're actually in a way better position to start getting all your documents ready, and then you could always apply to the PPP once you have the basic stuff. For the disaster loan, this is the documents that they are gonna request when you are ready, when they actually request them, right? Again, they're not gonna request them out of the gate, which gives you a few weeks to put all of this together. Okay, so just make sure you have the basic information for your business in order to apply. And in a second here, we're gonna show you guys what that looks like to show you that it's not as daunting as it's made out to be. All right, so the complete business loan application, that's done online. All right, that's actually done to the SBA. The economic injury disaster loan supporting information, this is also done online. Request for transcript of tax return, that's also online. List the most recent owners and percentage of the owners, that's online. The most recent tax return for the business, they don't ask for it right out the gate. The personal financial statement, this is also done online. You just list the owners and then the percentage that they own and their contact information and social security numbers, and then you're able to submit that. And then your schedule of liabilities with all fixed debt, that's something that they're gonna follow up with because it's not on the online application. And your personal tax returns for each 20% owner, not something that you have to submit out the gate. And then the most recent profit and loss statements and balance sheet for the business, again, not something that you have to submit out the gate. Current year-to-date profit and loss statement, another thing that you don't have to submit right out of the gate. So essentially, all you really need is the personal information of who the business owners are, some basic business information, and from there you can actually submit and get a number that puts you in the queue, which a loan officer will then follow up with you and ask for these other documents. Now, before they did it this way, they were allowing you to upload all the documents online and then they were processing them as they came in. But I think they changed it because of the fact that there were so many applications coming, they weren't able to efficiently process them. So I think they're doing it this way now because this is the most recent update from what I have seen and what I actually went through. So it's been about 2 weeks from the day I'm filming this right now, and I still haven't heard back from this one yet. So we'll see what, it says anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks. So we'll see how long it actually takes. Again, this seems complex, but it's really not. Right now, what I wanna do is I wanna show you guys what the disaster loan application actually looks like. All right, so we're gonna be showing you guys the actual application, which I will be linking the links to where you can access this information through the notes down below. Again, this is super simple. Like, you just click on it. From here, it just says, you know, you don't have more than 500. Is a business not more than 500? You just select whatever applies to you. You know, you're not a legal activity, you're not doing gambling, you're not doing anything sexual related. So if you're a strip club or something, I think this does prevent you from getting assistance from the government. You know, the government doesn't want to assist strippers, I guess. And it doesn't want to support gambling either, even though that's legal, right? Anyways, from there, you just submit your business information like I was mentioning. All right, from there, your business owner information. This is the information of the people that own the business. So if you have additional owners, you would just click here and add them as well. And And you have to say, is your business owned by a business entity? No. This would mean if you're owned by another corporation, or you're like a spin-off of another business, or another business bought you. There is some things that you would need to know. You may not qualify for this loan if that's the case. So essentially, they ask you very common things. Has you been convicted of criminal? Are you currently barred from receiving contracts? Do you own child support money? So if you owe child support money, there may be some issues here. And then from there, this is if you paid anybody to complete the application. And then this is important. I would like to be considered for an advance up to $10,000. Remember I mentioned that there is a possibility of you getting money for this application as soon as you submit it. I haven't received mine yet. It's supposed to be a few days after they receive your application to get it to you. I haven't received it yet, but I would like to be considered, and you should also check that as well. You enter your bank account, your routing number, and then you just hit next there. The last screen will essentially just hit the summary, and from there, it would just say, hey, is this all true? It just asks you to check, yes, I certify this is true, and that's it. Then you get a number with an application. That is essentially the entire SBA application for the disaster loan. Again, that's the simplest one that you guys can do. When it comes to doing the PPP, you can do it through your primary bank or an online service. And when it comes to Chase, I know a lot of people have Chase accounts, you would essentially be able to apply right through there. Any bank account will have you log in to confirm that you're a client of theirs. So if you have a business with a major bank, go through them and you're gonna have to just log in and complete your application. It's pretty similar to the one that we just did with the SBA, except it will have you upload those documents we just mentioned earlier in this video. It'll have you upload them before you submit the application. From there, the bankers themselves will actually review it and let you know. So far, it's been about 7 days since I applied mine, so I haven't received any word back yet. Still waiting on that. I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. But essentially, that's the application process in a nutshell. I will be linking some links down below so you guys have access. If you don't have a major bank, I'll link some online portals that you can also process your applications through, and I hope that also helps. So you may be sitting at home right now wondering if you should take action. And to that, I would advise that you make sure that your family's taken care of, that you guys have the basic necessities first, and that most importantly, you remain safe during this situation. Now, I would also encourage that you guys look into using this free time as an opportunity to start working towards that business that you always wanted to create. Because even though the future may seem uncertain, what is certain is that bad times will pass. Bad times will pass and the good times will come. And like they say, you got to start building when you have that downtime. And right now, entrepreneurship, with the technology that we have and the resources that are available, you can literally create anything. So you could either use this next recession as a crutch, or you can use it as a way to finally launch on that business and create a new opportunity for your family and your community. So right now, I want to take the moment and ask you guys to answer this question. What is that one business that you always wanted to create? And don't forget, your community is waiting for you to act on it.